Welcome everyone to the Planning Advisory Committee for Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. We'll call the meeting to order. The time is 5:31 p.m. Item number 2 will now proceed with the approval of the agenda. The motion reads that the agenda for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September 10th, 2025 be approved as presented. May I have a mover? Leanne, and a seconder, James. All in favor? Motion is carried. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? I actually have one myself. I, Tracy Young, declare a direct pecuniary interest on Council Committee Report item number PAC, item 5.2, PAC Report 13.2025, subject matter 170 King Street West for the following reason, due to a confidential commercial interest.
I have one as well, Tracy. I, Susan Margerson, declare a direct pecuniary interest of council/committee number PAC item 5.1, PAC report 12-2025. The subject matter is 201 Water Street for the following reason, a confidential interest.
Thank you, Susan. Moving along to item 4 is a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. I have a recommendation that reads that the Planning Advisory Committee minutes dated July 23rd, 2025 be accepted as amended. As amended?
As presented.
As presented.
Sorry.
Thank you. Do I have a mover? Mayor Shankar, and a seconder, Susan. Any discussion on the minutes? No, seeing none. All in favor? Motion is carried. And that brings us to item number 5. So does Susan fit in the?
I depart.
Just to the gallery. Thank you. Item 5.1 is PAC Report 12-2025 CIP application downtown 201 Water Street West. We have a potential recommendation that reads that CIP application 2025-06 for 201 Water Street be approved in full by the Planning Advisory Committee under the downtown area to a maximum of $22,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and up to $1,000 or 10%, whichever is greater, of permit fee grant funding. Can I have a mover and a seconder for discussion purposes? Leanne and James. Our Economic Development Officer, Dana Valentine, will speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair Young, committee to the committee. We have a application before you tonight for a new business, Main 319, which is a new salon and aesthetics operation that will be moving into 201 Water Street. So you'll probably be most familiar with this property. It's most recently served as a location for Women's Bait and Tackle and was previously home to the Forwarders Museum. It's a great business, certainly needed business, especially in light of word of the recent pending closure of another similar business downtown. So this will certainly fill a much needed gap. They're going to be going through a mix of property improvements, including new signage, some interior retrofitting, mostly to accommodate new sinks, and some exterior painting. And there has been a mock-up included at the end of the application. I think the planned work will really elevate the look of the building, especially in combination with the repointing work that the owner's been completing over the past 2 years. So they're requesting $22,000 in non-repayable grant funding and up to $1,000 or 10% of permit fee grant funding. Total project cost is estimated at $3,600. I believe that this is quite low, and we always recommend to the applicant to request the full amount of grant funding, and then whatever's left on the table at the end just rolls back into the pot for another subsequent applicant. So they, as I mentioned, I would anticipate they probably won't use the full amount based on what they've estimated the cost at, but that does remain to be seen. And upon review, all the other requirements have been met. All of the application and checklist items have been completed, meets all eligibility requirements, and there are no outstanding taxes, work orders against the property. And as far as alternatives, the committee could decide to modify or decline to approve the recommendation. And I've included, as I mentioned, the before and after pictures in the application as well as the completed application. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Are there any comments or questions from the committee members?
Sorry, I'm a little confused why we're approving 22,000 if the total project cost is 3,600. And I know what you just said, but is that something we've done with everybody?
With many cases in the past, yes, and we actually had an example where we didn't, a previous business just last year, it only requested, well, similar amount. And they ran into overages and then had to come back to PAC to request additional funding. So we do feel it's generally best to request the full amount. I do understand that that does somewhat limit the budget, right? Because now we're tying up $22,000 in budget dollars for an application that may only end up using 3,600. I do think it's a pretty safe bet. They're going to use at least 10 to 15,000 of the 22 in this case. So there probably wouldn't be that much left on the table at the end of the day, but certainly happy to take a different approach if the community desires.
Well, that looks really nice. So I assume the 3,600 is just for the exterior?
And interior. They have painting, lighting, and signage for the exterior, and then they have some new sinks to install in the interior to create workspaces for their different employees. And as well as painting, some aesthetic improvements, new lighting in the interior as well.
Just get the name of their contractor.
Yeah, 3,600.
I don't think. Well, I think they're doing a lot of the work themselves and they have family who's helping them with a lot of it, so it's gonna be mostly material expenses for this.
Leanne?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a similar concern as Mayor Shankar, but I like the fact that we're giving them a little extra because it is an older building. And when you start doing a little bit of renovations, you never know what you're going to get into. So I'd rather give them a little bit more. And then, so they don't have to come back to the committee if something happens or whatever, because it is an older building, so. That's perfect.
They also didn't, just kind of further to that comment, they didn't have other quotes in as of yet, and the only quote we've received to date has been for the plumbing, which is $6,000 in itself. So they've exhausted their funding if we approve them, and that doesn't factor in signage, paint, lighting. So that's where I think they've underestimated the expense that they're likely facing.
Thank you, Dana. Any other comments? No? And the applicant's not present on Zoom or anywhere? Okay. All right, I'll now call the question. All in favor? And motion is carried. So due to the disclosure I provided for item 5.2, I will now relinquish the chairship to Mayor Shankar, should he so accept and the committee agree. The motion that Mayor Gauri Shankar assume the chair role of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September 10th for duration of item 5.2. All in favor?
I can make that motion.
And seconded?
Second.
Susan, all in favor?
Promise, just check it on here.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
it's up to you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. All right, so item 5.2 is PAC report 13-2025, the CIP application for 170 King Street West. Potential recommendation reads that CIP application 2025-07 for 170 King Street West be approved in full by the Planning Advisory Committee under the downtown area to a maximum of 22,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and up to 1,000 or 10%, whichever is greater, of permit fee grant funding. Can I have a mover and seconder for discussion? James and Susan. Dana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Shankar, through you to the committee. So we have an application before you for a new business moving into 170 King Street. It's a new psychotherapist office, which is certainly fills another gap in our service mix of businesses. We are definitely have a shortage of therapists in the community, and I think this would certainly be a welcome addition. The agent has applied on behalf of the doctor who's completing all of the work for the property. You're probably familiar with this property. It's been vacant for many years. There has been an image included with the package just so you can familiarize yourself. It's a great property, excellent potential, a beautiful heritage awning that is still functional. I think it'll make a great location for this type of service business. And the applicant has requested $22,000 in non-repayable grant funding and up to $1,000 or 10% new permit fee funding. As far as improvements, it's going to be, fairly general interior retrofitting, exterior painting and signage, but this property is certainly a shell, so it does require quite a bit of work, as you can see from the estimated cost at $50,000. So they will be making a significant investment in this property to get it ready for their business. And so upon review, there are no outstanding issues. Everything is current and no standing work orders for this property, and it does meet all the eligibility requirements. And the committee, as far as alternatives, could decide to modify or decline to approve. And I have included a copy of the application in the package as well as the current image. We haven't received a mock-up of what the future image will look like to date. But all of that will come and will be vetted against guidelines and approved.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dana. I'm just sitting there. Any questions for Ms. Valentine? Dana, is there an upstairs to this?
There is, but this application is specific to the commercial space. There are some current state interior images included as well. The owner has separated the units so that they are completely there. It was a full unit with connection. As you can see, there's actually a former stairwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that has all been fully separated now, and there is residential access through the back now. But no, that is not part of this application.
All right. And everything's kosher with the application, you said?
Yes, meets all eligibility requirements. We've received, I would say the only thing missing would be 2 quotes, but we didn't get 2 quotes for the other application. Quotes, tenants do struggle with quotes sometimes. It can be hard to get contractors to provide quotes. So, we've certainly approved applications that haven't had 2 quotes for every item in the past, but always happy to push that back and insist on that requirement if the committee should see fit.
And then just for the people watching at home, we don't write any checks until they provide us with receipts, right?
Exactly, yes. So we have to receive copies of all expenses demonstrating proof of payment with receipts for payment attached. And the applicant receives up to 50% of all eligible expenses submitted, less HST.
Okay, great. Any further questions? So I'll call the question if everyone remembers the motion. So all in favor? Carried, thank you. I'm gonna bring Chair Tracy Young back to the table. Thank you.
Okay, we're at item 5.3, the CIP financial record, community improvement plan financial record. This is for information purposes only, and our CAO Matthew Armstrong will speak to the report.
Very much, Madam Chair. So just an update on the previous one that we've discussed, but to date, we've approved over $1.1 million due to the variances when we close out some of those applications. You can see that we've been able to reinvest $222,000 into the plan. And so paid to date is 713,000. Since 2018, we've approved 83 projects. 70 have reached completed, closed, or canceled. I think there was only one canceled. And we have 13 projects in progress. So that's kind of the information that we have so far. At this point of the year, we probably have to put a pause on any further applications. But we've certainly taken a look at what's outstanding and understanding what will end up in a variance, which is how we've been able to approve the last couple. So more than happy to answer any questions there might be, but that's where we are at this point.
Thank you, Matthew. Any comments? Questions?
Sure. Matthew, is there any other projects looming? Or was this a question for Dana?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to that through Chair Young. We do have two, I'm in discussions with two potential applicants at this point. I have advised them of the potential budget shortfall and have suggested to them that they try and postpone submission to late 2025, early 2026, so that we can be starting with a fresh budget and give consideration to those applications. Now that doesn't speak for what may come up. It is only September, so we do still have a quarter of the year left, and I would certainly anticipate, based on some of the work that's happening with commercial properties right now, that we would probably see some further interest in that program come forward this year.
Great. Is there any chance of us, if it was to come in before January, of having a meeting and maybe if we do approve it, but approve it for January? Or is that with the way through council?
So I think what my recommendation would be is either decide to pre-approve. That being said, we only have an annual allocation of 25,000. So one application, we'll chew through that pretty quickly. Or if we have a number that come forward that we make a recommendation, we approve them pending allocation of funds, and then make a recommendation to council to perhaps transfer funds from another reserve into this one to support them.
Thank you. One other question you just said, do we only put 25,000 in every year?
At this point, yes. And then we've been supplementing that with one-time increases in 2024, 100,000, and sorry, in 2023, 100,000, in 2024, 200,000.
Okay.
So we have been doing some one-time increases to allow for them.
And I think to your point, Matthew, timing of that is a factor, right? Because that doesn't happen until actual official budget approval. So essentially, we'd only have that 25,000 for maybe the first quarter or so of next year.
Potentially, or if council wishes to consider a one-time top-up of the fund, that can be done at any time.
Okay. Because I mean, each application today was up to 23,000, right? So it's really only one application.
Correct.
Okay. And the loans are different?
Right. So through you, Madam Chair, and the loans are completely not within the funding envelope because it is simply cash paid out and then cash recovered.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We're at item number 6, new business only. So we don't have any tonight and there are no questions from the media. Item 8 is adjournment. I have a recommendation that the Planning Advisory Committee meeting be adjourned. The time is 5:50 p.m. Do I have a mover? Susan, and a seconder? James, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Might ask somebody quickly.
Thank you.